我々京都のおしぐの証物は
Hello humans, demons, or whoever you are, Livius here. I don't think I need to give an introduction to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, they've been around for 40 years. God, I feel old. In those 40 years, they've been pop culture icons and childhood heroes. In the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and even in the current day. From comics, cartoons, movies, and of course, video games. One of these games being Shredder's Revenge. But first, some more history. TMNT games have been around since the beginning of time but have a hit or miss reputation. Some games were good, some games were bad, and some games were the Hyperstone heist. In the 2000s and 2010s, game developers tried to replicate what makes games like Turtles in Time special but in 3D. And it went as well as you expected. So let's just skip to the 2020s, when out of nowhere we got our first look at the newest Ninja Turtles video game, called Shredder's Revenge. With not only a glorious animated intro, but also the return to the side-scrolling beat-em-up. Thanks to games like Fight and Rage and Streets of Rage 4, the latter being the one who published the game, and developed by Tribute Games. I knew about them thanks to a little-known indie game called Flint Hook. No joke, Flint Hook is really fucking good. I want to make a video on it someday. In June 16th, 2022, Shredder's Revenge released on all platforms, including, at the time of this recording, Netflix. For some reason, with critical acclaim across the board, solidifying this game as one of the greatest beat-em-ups of all time. And here's why. The story is that the heroes in a half-shell and friends are here to save the Statue of Liberty from the Shredder and the Foot Clan. It's a simple plot, but it's more of a plot than the Hyperstone heist. But I do have a question. When does this take place in the 87 timeline? I ask this because we get to explore the Channel 6 building despite it being destroyed back in Season 8.
31 minutes. For once you didn't make it on time, Turtles.
But Channel 6 is still there. I knew he was bluffing.
I never bluff.
Gameplay is just like the Konami classics but with a modern twist. We got our basics, attacks, grabs, dashes, etc. But also some new stuff like dodging and a taunt button that fills up your super meter. Speaking of super meter, once it's charged up, you can do one of 3 super attacks. One on the ground, one in the air, and one while dodging. And once you charge all 3 super bars, you get Radical, which makes your character's attack stronger. Definitely useful for boss fights. You may be doing the same thing in each level, but Tribute Games made sure to add some variety, like a mall where foot soldiers hang out at, Coney Island where you can pop a balloon, and get to see what happened to the Technodrome after all these years. Within each level, after some property damage, you see side characters like Vern and Irma. They give you a fetch quest to find an item that belongs to them, something you need to do if you want to 100% this game. However, if you don't care about 100%ing this game, or you just want to play the game from start to finish in one setting, then Arcade Mode is for you. Hell, Arcade Mode has some pretty neat stuff, where you can customize it to whatever you want. The foot soldiers in this game range from your traditional purple, a yellow one that throws shit at you, a red one that has a plunger gun, etc. But this green one pisses me off. Bro shoots one arrow and bails out. Fuck this guy. Anyways, you're not just fighting foot soldiers. You're also fighting Mousers, Triceratons, rock soldiers, and more. And one more thing I found neat. Once you kill an enemy, you can still hit their dead corpses.
He's already dead!
The presentation in this game looks absolutely stunning, looking like an update of the 16-bit graphics we saw back in the day, with so much detail and the little touches that make all the levels more memorable. The soundtrack is composed by T-Lopes, and if you know anything about T-Lopes, you know it's gonna be a good soundtrack. And the voice acting is pretty good. Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, Rob Paulson, and Townsend Coleman all return to reprise their roles as the heroes in a half-shell. Even Pat Freely returned to voice Krang again, and the new actors do a decent job too. If you think we're done talking about this game, think again. We have one more thing to talk about, to mention shellshock. Dimension Shellshock is the survival mode of this game. You hop into different dimensions, beating the crap out of any and all foot soldiers you see. And it even lets you play as Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady. Also, it's just good to see a playable Bebop and Rocksteady that aren't separated, unlike a certain game, Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, and the Hyperstone Heist. Some dimensions that stand out to me are Mirage and Dire Horizons. The Mirage dimension has a black and white filter, just like the old school Mirage comics, and Dire Horizons give us an alternate reality where Shredder conquered Earth, plus a lot of Easter eggs and cameos. But after we beat the final boss, which is just a recolor of Super Shredder, we're given two choices, to continue onward or end it right here and now. I choose to end it right here and now because I need to get footage for the ending. Also, shout out to my friends Ramen Retro and ShadeX for helping me get footage for the online multiplayer. And that was Shredder's Revenge. If you're a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or a fan of beat-em-ups, I highly recommend this game. As someone who grew up with stuff like the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series and seeing all the lackluster video games within that time span, it honestly feels good to have a good Ninja Turtles game. And with the low price of this game, I don't see why not to own it. Anyways, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if you want to succeed at life, you gotta make a deal with hell. You know, I think there's a new Ninja Turtles game that just came out. I wonder how that did. Oh.